Okay, so we got the revelation, and yeah, that's pretty much the focus of this episode. I mean, not like a ton happens, but at the same time, it's a pretty big deal what you find out, or at least a good start to what I'm guessing is going to be the villain. Looks like it's going to be our villain. This is the episode where Korra, she's training with her two new teammates now, and she's also training, continuing to train with her master, and she sort of has that method of going through the spinny doors, whatever that is. She has that down better. I guess they got new ones, because I'm afraid she burned the last ones. So she's getting the training down, but they're short on money. They're finding it really tough to survive and get cash, so sort of this old gang friend comes to one of the team members and offers them a chance to, just not do anything illegal, just, a job, very 40s New York kind of stuff. So he gets captured though by these bad guys, and Korra and Mako go and they try to find out what happens to him. They find that he's brought to this place where the villain, this masked villain, is starting this big revolution against Benders. They see Benders as really bad, and they want to be the great equalizers because they're given these advantages and they're allowed to push people around and call all the shots, and that's not fair, so they want to find out a way to stop that, and this guy has found a way to take bending away, which has never been done before except by Aang, I think. I don't know if anyone else has done it, but as far as I know, Aang's the only one that's done it, so this is like an impossible feat. So they get the guy out, they get the teammate out, but they now know there's this great big threat, and this is like what started off as sort of like the small protest and just these people bitching and yelling is now like a legit dangerous movement, that could turn into like this big uprising. So yeah, this is definitely different than Avatar, which again, I like. I like that they're going this different direction. The one thing that I do miss, I'm fine with all the changes. I do find the one thing I miss that I think they're going to keep going with is that you're kind of stuck in the city. What I liked about Avatar is they're always trying to get to some place, or they arrive at a place and they look around the place. Here, it's mainly the city, and you can see different parts of the city, but it's still the city. You sort of see one part of it, you get kind of the general idea. Unless they're going to do like sort of how New York really is, where they have sort of these different parts of the city and each sort of have their different attitude and different design and stuff, but so far it kind of looks the same. It looks impressive. Like I said, the animation's like holy shit, but I do sort of miss that essence of traveling from place to place. Where originally it was seeing these places for the first time and introducing you to this world, and then whatever, next week you'd be introduced to a new world. Here, you could do that again, because you could go to these places again and see how they've evolved, see how they've changed. And they do that sometimes. Like I said, they show certain characters and their offspring and how they've grown up and such, but that is the one thing I do kind of miss. Everything else I'm still okay with, because I like the idea of this story. I sort of said before, it's sort of like what they did with Children of Dune, where it's what's after Happily Ever After, what's after the Messiah, the Chosen One, because the stories always stop. And it's like, yes, and they all lived happily ever after. Bullshit, that doesn't happen. What are the problems that are going to come after that? And I like stories that do that. And that is what this is doing. And this seems like something that would happen, where you sort of have, and you see this happen in our culture all the time, where you come from something that's really bad, whatever, a war or a depression or something that's really terrible, and then when things sort of even out, there's still these problems that arise. They're just new problems, and they're problems that from before you wouldn't even think of, or if anyone was even to say the Benders are bad or threatening our way back then, back in the Avatar days, nobody'd be like, what are you talking about? They're the only ones that can, like, save us right now. But now that they have been saved and time has moved on, there's sort of this different problem that has risen, which is, are they given too much of an advantage or too much power? And some have abused the power. I mean, hell, the Fire Nation in Avatar, of course, abused the power. So it's an argument that you can see where they're coming from, which I like. Now, of course, they're going to an extreme. They're saying, oh, Benders are like this, oh, blah, 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 and that's an extreme, but that often happens when people are very angry at stuff or get pushed around or whatever. When others are using extreme, that just spreads more extremes, and that's not the best thing to do. Again, that's why I like the idea of the Avatar coming in and bringing balance here. This is a different kind of balance that's trying to be brought here. So I like that, and I like that it's being done with a person who is already kind of aggressive and trying to learn more the sort of calm inner silence and be comfortable with herself and the philosophies and so on and so forth, because she can very easily fall into sort of one of these criminals. Even when she came in, it's like, these people were doing bad, and she just fights them, and kicks their ass. I mean, doesn't question anything. She just beats them up. And then even when the police come, she doesn't try to settle it. She runs away and tries to beat up the police. And so this is a good story for her to fall into. This is sort of a good predicament. And I hope they really have fun with, like, the challenges they can really throw at her. But in terms of challenges, like, this episode seemed very much like just sort of a setup. Like, okay, here's our villain, who looks like a cool villain. It's given a good backstory, it looks like. Wouldn't it be cool if they take the mask off and there's nothing wrong with him? I'm wondering if they're gonna go that route. That'd be cool. But I digress. You got this villain that's set up, and now you sort of know the threat, and you sort of know what the focus is gonna be. And yeah, I like it. My brother was saying, he's seen the show all the way through. He hasn't ruined anything from me, but he was saying that where Avatar was very much sort of like the Lord of the Rings, the never-ending story, where it's the traveling movie. This is sort of like the Dark Knight. This is the city. This is the one location and how it works, and actually spending time. It's maybe there is something to that. You travel to all these different places in Avatar, and it's great, but you're there and then you leave. Why not actually sort of get the inner workings of it and see how it comes about and what the different personalities are and the problems with just one place, and really dive into it, which they did a good chunk of the time in Avatar, but here to actually devote a series to it could be interesting. I wish... And maybe I'm just wishing the different parts of the city would look more different. You sort of go to one part of the city, you go to another, it's like, oh, well, that could be that part. Like, these 5 different areas of the city you've been to can all sort of be interchanged. I mean, they look very similar. Compared to Avatar, again, where you would go from one land to another, it's like, wow, totally different looking place. And you can tell exactly where you are because of how well designed these places are. But here it's sort of like, oh, were we in this part of the city or that part of the city that kind of look alike? So, I don't know. That's the one thing I like to see more of. It's like the initial design of the city is great, but when you're going to look at it for a very, very long time, I want to see if they're going to maybe try a few different variations with it or different areas. Because, I've been to New York, and while New York is very massive and much of it can sort of look the same, there's definitely different areas that are designed, very specifically and have their own identities. So I like to see if they maybe would try that. I'm wondering if they're gonna have a little bit more fun with that. But no, still good, still having fun with it, and curious to see where it's gonna go, and just enjoying this new direction. So that's about it, and I'll see you at episode 4.